Jillian Michaels has been on a complete tear against wokeness, and this has led to some really great appearances and interview segments on television. And of course, that's exactly what we're going to see today with her appearance over here on CNN, where she completely schools the entire panel on Donald Trump's review of the Smithsonian Museums and Institutes. But before we get to these clips, don't forget to like and comment on this video so we can break through the algorithms. Here we go.
He's gone into the Smithsonian. He's effectively now has some random person deciding what is appropriate for the Smithsonian to teach in terms of American history, things that don't offend parts of the MAGA base, right? So we're now literally reviewing parts of American history and parts of American culture to make sure it comports with dear leader and what the MAGA
Can we
organization
address
wants.
some of those things that are in there? Because have you looked at some of the things that are being reviewed?
Yeah, slavery was a bad thing that we could talk about.
Okay.
Like, he forgave
He's
me for
not
saying
whitewashing slavery. So
he's not?
He's not. No,
Okay.
he's not. And you cannot tie imperialism and racism and slavery to just one race, which is pretty much what every single exhibit does. But let's talk about the fact that when you let's talk about the fact
slavery in America was.
Do you realize that only less than 2% of white Americans owned slaves?
But it was a system of white supremacy.
You realize that slavery is thousands of years old?
White people.
Do you know who was the first race to try to end slavery? Well, what's controversial?
I'm very surprised.
This is an extraordinary exercise in historical revisionism.
I'm really
historical
surprised.
revisionism. Do you realize that,
Jillian, I'm surprised that you're trying to litigate who was the beneficiary of slavery and
I'm
who
not.
was not.
What I'm trying to tell you is that
in the context of American history,
okay.
In the context of American history, what are you saying is incorrect by saying that it was white people oppressing black people?
Every single thing is like, oh, no, this is all because white people bad. And that's just not the truth. Like, for example, every single exhibit, I have a list of every single one. Like, people migrated from Cuba because white people bad. Not because of Castro. Yes, no, it's in there. That's what I'm saying. You don't actually know what's in there. Do you know that when you walk in the front door, the first thing you see is the gay flag?
Jillian, you have a lot of stuff in front of you.
Yeah, I do,
what
because
exactly
I don't, because here's the thing.
Are you talking about?
Okay, I'll give you an example.
Yeah, please.
There's one called Change Your Game, right? This has been an installation there. Is gender testing fair in sports? Does that, and then it goes on to talk about how it's complex to do gender testing in sports. It's not complex. It's basic science. That's untrue. It's XX chromosome, XY chromosome. That's sports. Is it fair to have biological men competing against biological women in sports? No. But why is this in the Smithsonian? So it's been completely captured.
First of all, I don't.
And it's totally partisan.
First of all, we don't have time to litigate all of this.
Of course we don't, because then you're going to lose the argument.
No.
Everything is racialized, just like you're trying to do to me now.
Excuse me.
It's like, I can't believe you're trying to suggest, that slavery
just to
is
be
a good
clear,
thing.
you brought up race.
No,
this was a conversation about the arts, and you brought up race.
It isn't.
You brought up.
But the whole point of this is that the issue
you brought up slavery, and you brought up the question of whether you brought up the question of whether or not slavery in the United States is about race. The answer is yes.
I did not say
in the United States
don't straw man my argument, because that's not what I said.
So what are you
brought
talking
up
about?
Slavery, and what I was talking about is that this isn't really about that. When you make every single exhibit about white imperialism when it isn't relevant at all, that is a problem. So when you're talking about Cubans leaving Cuba and you make it about white people bad, that's not accurate.
Can I just say something?
That's my point.
That is how it's done. Jillian Michaels is like a pit bull in there, right? She is not going to cede 1 inch of ground to all of these other panelists out there who are trying to spread factual misinformation, all right? Now, just to make sure we're all on the same page, if we look over here, yes, the White House has called for a comprehensive review of 8 Smithsonian museums. And down here, we have the official statement that this initiative aims to ensure alignment with the president's directives to celebrate American exceptionalism, remove divisive or partisan narratives, and restore confidence in our shared cultural institutions. So what Donald Trump is trying to do is, of course, to unite America behind our shared history, okay? But according to the left, he's actually trying to erase history, because we're talking about this whole idea of, slavery, okay? Donald Trump is trying to whitewash slavery. But here's how the left put slavery in context, right? Slavery was really bad, obviously, and because it was bad, it has led to sustained oppression of black people here in this country, okay? But what they always want to ignore is the simple fact that what the Republicans believe is that we fought a war to end slavery. And in fact, it was the Democrats who fought to keep black people oppressed after their freedom. Okay, that's the real history, but we're not talking about preserving that in the Smithsonian, right? We're not talking about keeping that around. Instead, the Smithsonian is actually focused on part of that whole 1619 project. All right, and when, of course, all of these facts are thrown in the face of Abby Phillips and the squad over there, what does Abby Phillips say? We can't sit here and litigate this. We don't have the time. And Jillian Michaels' retort is perfect, because you would lose. If I actually showed you all of the information I have, it would prove the bias in the Smithsonian's exhibits. So then, of course, Abby Phillips, knowing she's losing this argument, tries to pivot. Well, you're the one, Jillian, who brought up slavery. No, she wasn't. It was Julie Rodzinski. She's the one who brought it up in an attempt to discredit Jillian about bias at the Smithsonian. Okay? And speaking of bias, Jillian Michaels brings up a couple of things. If the Smithsonian is all about preserving history, etc., why do they have exhibits with pride flags everywhere? All right? So during the Pride Month, yes, Smithsonian is going to have all of these public programs and exhibits celebrating pride with the pride flags. What does that have to do with preserving our history? All right. And the answer, of course, is it doesn't. It has absolutely nothing. And then, of course, you have also the gender sports exhibits. Right. What the heck is that all about? That's not preserving our history, unless, of course, it's about the exhibit where for about 10 years there we had a whole bunch of crazy people who gained power who actually thought that men could be women and women could be men. Unless that part's mentioned in there, then it shouldn't be in the Smithsonian exhibit. Okay. And that's what we're talking about when we're saying, oh, we have this divisive, we have this inaccurate history that the Smithsonian may be presenting, and we just don't want that to happen. All right. Because as Jillian Michaels mentioned, it's all about basically this anti-white narrative, or white people bad, or how we're the root of all problems, when in fact it should just be the American history. Right? What makes this country great? What's all the really cool stuff that happened in our history? I'm not saying we should deny things did happen. What I'm saying is we should not be presenting it in a certain light by people who are politically biased. That's what the review is really all about. And I also find it kind of funny that the same people right here who are saying, oh, we can't get rid of this history, right? Even the bad parts must be shown, right? Everything that America has done in the past has to be preserved, which of course I agree with. But these same people are the ones who are all for tearing down statues of Columbus, taking down statues of even George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Abraham Lincoln, because in their past statements they may have said or done some things that people don't agree with by today's modern sensibilities. All right? It's these same folks who are decrying one thing while, of course, accepting the other. Okay, so if you want to preserve history, then why not preserve all of it, even the bad parts, provided, of course, it's not presented in a biased way. So thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and say hi to your mom for me. Do you like t-shirts? Of course you do. And now you can support the channel by buying an Angry Teacher t-shirt designed by me, Angry Teacher. So if you like America, if you like freedom, if you like liberty, then go ahead and click the link in the description, where all designs, of course, are 100% mother approved. So enjoy yourself and find something you like today.